Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, happy Halloween! Today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video. Somebody in the comments on one of my videos had said, what do you think of the Roadking? Now obviously I have a Fatboy, but I did have a Roadking back in the day at one time, and I thought I felt comfortable talking about the differences between the Fatboy and the Roadking and which might be the better option. So that's what the video is going to be about today. So grab yourself a drink and we'll get to it. Now the first thing I thought about when I thought about doing this video was which Roadking should I look at kind of comparing the Fatboy against. Reason being is because there's two different models of the Roadking. You've got the special and you've got the standard, and there's differences between both. In the end, I decided, because I had a Road Glide, the standard model, that's what I'd be comparing it to. Also price-wise, it's a lot closer than the special is. Now, at the end of the video, we will go through the differences between the special and the standard, just to give you an idea of what those differences are. But for right now, for this video, we're going to be looking at the Fatboy against the Roadking standard. Now for comparing these two bikes, the first thing we got to look at is we got to look at some specs. We got to see what one has against the other. So the first thing is the dimensions. Now the Fatboy is about 93 inches long, where the Roadking standard you're looking at about 96 and a half. So you're looking at a few inches difference, which may not be that big of a deal, although a few inches can be useful in certain situations, if you know what I mean. But anyway, it's a little bit longer, which isn't so much of a big deal. The seat height on the Fatboy is about an inch lower, as well as the clearance is a little bit lower. So you do sit a little bit higher on a Roadking, but it's really not that much noticeable from my experience. Now another difference between the two is fuel. I don't mean the fuel you put in it, and I also don't mean the delivery system, because they're both fuel injected. I'm talking about the tank. The Fatboy has a 5-gallon tank, whereas the Roadking, both models of the Roadking, come with a 6. Now, I would assume that is because a Roadking is a touring and a Softail is a cruiser. So you're looking at more of a top-of-the-line cruiser versus a lower-of-the-line touring bike. Now next, we're going to get into handling, and this is where I found myself to be the biggest difference. I went directly from a Fatboy to a Roadking. I actually traded in a Fatboy for a Roadking. Now I know what you're saying, oh my God, that's blasphemy. There is a reason behind it. And the reason behind it was I was engaged at the time, and the idea was that we would do a little more touring. She liked to go for rides, so I thought I'll get a more touring-oriented bike. Now, thankfully, the engagement didn't go through. Thank God. But anyway, you know what they say, no wife, no kids, no problem. So, I mean, how else can I afford 2 motorcycles, right? But anyway, the handling was definitely the big difference. First of all, with the Fatboy, you have bigger tires, obviously. You've got the, the 160 on the front and the 240 on the back for the Fatboy. You're looking at a 130 on the front and a 180 on the Roadking. That will affect it a little bit, obviously. Also, the Roadking has a little bit more of lean angle on either side, which is good considering it has saddlebags and things like that, but it's a better lean angle than the Fatboy. However, the big problem, and this is, well, not so much a problem, but this is where I found the most difference, was the weight. The weight of a Fatboy compared to the weight of a Road King. Now, if we look at these year's models, 2021, you've got a Fatboy at an operating weight coming in at about 700 pounds, whereas you've got an operating rate on the Road King Standard of, it lists at 826. So that's a significant difference. It does take a little bit getting used to, anyway it did for me, and that's going directly from a Fatboy to a Road King. Now let's talk the engine. Now this is where a big difference comes in on the 2021 models. As the Fatboy, you have of course the Milwaukee 8 114, whereas on the Road King you have the Milwaukee 8 107. That comes with the standard. So you do have a little bit difference there in displacement, so you have a little bit difference in horsepower and torque. It depends on what you want to use the bike for. I myself, I'm not a huge performance guy, so a 107 for me, it's not really that big of a difference. But on these two models, that is something you definitely have to think about, whether you want the bigger engine or not. So now let's get down to looks. Let's get down to styling. And both these bikes are, to me anyway, pretty synonymous with Harley Davidson. If you think Harley Davidson, you're probably thinking something like a Fatboy or a Road King. They've both been around for decades. They're very popular models. However, for me, and this is just my opinion, and this is very subjective, I go with the styling of the Fatboy. I love the fat tires, the solid wheels. I love the stripped down look of it. I'm not as big on hard bags, things like that are on the Road King. I just really like the styling of the Fatboy more. But like I said, it is completely subjective, so that is just solely my opinion, but they are both iconic motorcycles in my opinion. Okay, so let's talk about the price of these motorcycles. Now, these are in Canadian dollars. I took the prices right off the Harley Davidson Canada website, and obviously these are just list prices. They don't include dealer fees or taxes or anything like that, so you can add on probably at least a few $1,000s onto these, but as far as the prices go straight off the website, you're looking at the Fatboys about $24,800, whereas the Road King's about $23,900. So you're looking at close to $1,000 difference in those prices. So I'm assuming the reason the Road King is a little bit on the cheaper side is because of the smaller engine. However, when you start to look at what you get with the Road King versus the Fatboy, it kind of changes things for me, because the things that come standard on a Road King are going to be things that you would have to add on and buy separately on a Fatboy. For example, you have a windshield comes standard on the Road King. You have saddlebags that come standard on the Road King. You have an engine guard that's standard on the Road King. And you have cruise control that comes standard on the Road King. So if you look at how much you're going to spend if you were to buy a Fatboy and add those things, you're probably looking at anywhere between $200 to $2,500 more to buy those extras for the Fatboy. And that's just parts. That's not, if you're going to get a dealer to actually install them for you. So when you look at that, you're actually paying quite a bit more for the Fatboy if you're not just going to leave it stock, which no one does. So that's a definite advantage as far as I'm concerned for the Road King. To me, you get more for the price. Now, at the start of this video, I did mention that I was comparing the standard rather than the special. So before I kind of give you my conclusion, roundup opinion of it, I should really mention, the differences between a Road King standard and a Road King special. first of all, you've got a little bit difference in length and clearance, very negligible, but there is a little bit of a difference. Same thing with weight. The Special is actually slightly lighter by about, if you look on the site, it looks about 20 pounds lighter, which isn't huge, but still, it's something. One of the main differences is the engine. With the Special, you get the 114 rather than the 107. So performance guys, you would go with the Special. You also, the luggage, there's a little more space in the Roadking Special bags than in the standard. Whether that really makes a huge difference to you, I don't know. It could help, but I don't know if it would make a big difference to me. One of the things though that I did notice was the Special doesn't come with a windshield, which I thought was a little bit odd for a premium priced motorcycle. And it also has less lights, where the Roadking standard has the extra lamps on the side, which the Special doesn't. So you've actually got a couple more things on the standard than on the Special. However, I do like the styling of the Roadking Special more than the Roadking standard. I think the front end looks a lot cleaner. It's got the lower engine guard I kind of like over top of the full one, and the choice of paint. I was not a fan of the paint schemes that came out this year for the Roadking. I think the Fatboy had better colors than the Roadking standard. But the Special, I think, has better paint, because I'm actually pretty partial to the snake venom. I like the way that looked, and I like the way it looked in person. So I would give the nod to that. I should also mention that the prices I've set out is also in vivid black, because obviously if you're getting custom paint or different paint jobs, it's going to cost you more. Now, another big thing between the two Roadking models is the price. So I said the Roadking standard came in at about $23,900. The Roadking Special comes in at about $27,900. So you're paying quite a bit more for that Special. And from the stuff I just listed, I'm not sure if it's necessarily worth it, unless you want to pay that extra money for that big engine. Because to me, other than the styling, I guess, that's really what you're paying for, in my opinion. And hey, that's just my opinion. You know, I guess also the Special is all blacked out, the engine's blacked out, as opposed to being chrome. But I mean, those are the two differences between the models, and you'd really have to wonder, do you really want to spend an extra $3 or $4 grand for a bigger engine? Because to me, other than the styling, you're not really getting a whole lot else. And that is subjective, and that is just my opinion. So my bottom line, my conclusion, is really that you can't go wrong really with either model. It really depends on what you're planning on using the bike for. As I've said in other videos, I'm a cruiser. I don't go on long trips anymore, or haven't for quite a while. My trips are basically like overnighters. So for me, it's the Fatboy all day. That being said, if you're somebody who wants to put on a few more miles, maybe not just go on one-nighters, go out for 2-3 days, whatever, you can't go wrong with the Roadking either. It's a great bike. It is basically more or less the start of your touring model. If you're looking for a stripped down, good looking bike to tour on, you can't go wrong with it. And they're both great motorcycles, and like I say, I've owned both and I had no problems with either. It really comes down to what you want to use the bike for, and you cannot go wrong with either. So that's it. That's the video for this week. I'll hopefully be back next week with something else. So till then, have yourself a little drink, enjoy your Halloween, and we'll see you later.